And joining me now live is the New South Wales Treasurer Daniel Mookhey. Thank you so much for joining us, Treasurer. That's quite a clear warning from you. You said that there's serious decisions ahead. What does this mean for New South Wales? How is it going to impact the public?
There are serious challenges ahead, and that is because inflation is at a once-in-a-generation high. We have to do our bit to get our spending under control. It's no different to what families are doing as well, which is carefully watching every dollar that's going out the door, making sure that they're getting value for money. So between now and September, we are going through the budget line by line to figure out how it is we can redirect some of that money to the public's priorities. We do need to fix our essential services. We do need to help families through this tough time, but we have to be mindful governments can't be making inflationary pressures worse.
So are those days then of handouts, rebates, the vouchers, to do what you can to help people of New South Wales, are they over? Can you rule that out?
Well, we can't continue to spend like it's a COVID year when COVID is over. And we have in the last 14 months seen New South Wales lock in $33 billion of additional spending over the forward estimates. That was the previous government's strategy. It was a strategy that they presented on the eve of the election. It has a real consequence for the state's finances. We are in a situation where in just a few years' time, New South Wales will be paying more on its interest bills than it does on its police force. 16 cents out of every dollar we collect directly in taxation will go to our lenders. So we are being honest with the people of New South Wales about the situation we've inherited, and we are giving them a clear sense about how this new government will go about this task.
But if people are expecting to maybe get some relief in your budget that you're going to hand down in a couple of months' time, are you saying that they're just not going to get that relief? They're not going to get a handout or a rebate?
So we are offering a cost of living relief as we promised we would in the election. From 1 July onwards, we will have energy rebates in place for 1.6 million households as well as small businesses. We're getting on the job of delivering our election commitment to cap tolls at $60 per week from 1 January next year. We have already abolished stamp duty and land tax for all first home buyers up to $800,000 across New South Wales. So we are delivering on our election commitments, but we are being upfront with the people of New South Wales about the challenges our finances are under.
Can you guarantee, though, that you will not break any election promises? You won't break anything that you took, that you won that election on in order to help balance the books?
Yeah, we're not breaking election commitments. And the reason why I can say that is that for every dollar in election promises we made, we put aside more than $1 in savings against that. And that means we are in a position to deliver on our election commitments. We did actually go into the last election telling people that New South Wales' finances were under challenge. We were upfront in the election campaign about the fact that when interest rates are what they are, with inflation is what it is, that we are going to have to be prudent. And we did go to the last election being upfront about the fact that we were going to offer more budget savings than we were budget promises. The previous government took the different approach. The Liberal Party and the National Party went to the last election pledging to put New South Wales into more debt, more deficit, which would only result in more money going on interest payments and more pressure on inflation. So there was a real difference between the two parties on this in the last election. I know some people are a bit surprised to see that Labor was the more fiscally conservative of the two parties at the election, but it was the right call to make given the pressures families are under right now.
Is New South Wales facing a recession?
Well, obviously we saw the national accounts that came out that certainly showed that across the country there was an economic slowdown. We would obviously want to make sure that New South Wales economy stays strong, stays resilient, and there is a way forward here. But governments have to do its bit too to bring inflation under control. Otherwise, we do run the risk of the RBA continuing to hike interest rates. And I'm mindful of the fact that as a result of 12 interest rate rises over 14 months, that's meant that the 1 in 3 people in New South Wales who have a mortgage are absolutely carrying the can when it comes to fighting the inflation dragon. And I don't think it's prudent to allow just mortgage holders to have this burden on themselves. I do think that in times of economic downturn, governments have a role to play. But when inflation is high, governments have a role to play too. We've got to be very mindful of the fact that we're not making inflationary pressures worse.
You've committed to a 1-year 4% pay rise for public sector workers. How are you going to balance this, particularly in the current climate and the pressures that you say that the budgets are facing?
Yeah, well, we're not going to ask our essential workers like our police officers, our paramedics, our nurses, our cleaners, our teachers to pay the price of inflation by themselves either. It is, of course, hard to do in the current climate, but we've been upfront about the fact that we are going through the budget line by line to be able to deliver both budget savings and productivity increases which can support better pay for our essential workers, which is vital given we are suffering such a shortage of them in our classrooms, in our police stations, in our hospitals. So we are working with our essential workers cooperatively. We're really pleased that we are working with them, for example, to clean up some of the messes we've inherited, particularly in our workers' compensation scheme here in New South Wales. Just last week, I had to authorise a funding injection into the state's insurance schemes as a result of a lot of the problems that they've been under for quite a few years, which were ignored. The fact that we can work with our essential workers cooperatively to help solve these problems means that we can deliver a better result for public services and a better result for those essential workers who provide them.
Treasurer Daniel Mookhey, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.